We have on view today some great miners' artifacts that capture the coal mining industry. The prime item in my mind, by far, these are miners' tags, or checks or tallies, you take your pick. Made of brass or copper, and you can see there are two sizes here, a larger and a smaller. And you as a miner would be assigned a number. And you would take your smaller tag, and when you took your lamp from the lamp house, you would put one of your tags, say your number 31, you would put your tag on the hook board. And that was so that if anything happened underground and you weren't accounted for, they would go to the lamp house, and the tags that were on the wall told them who was underground, confirmed who was underground. And if, as unfortunately happened, they didn't recover your body for quite some time, it would be a tag that identified you. So that was, these were essential. These predate the military dog tags, but they have the same purpose. We call the coffee pot lamps. Coal mining was originally open flame. That little baby is pretty rusted now. I dug that up at the Southfield mine here in the Nanaimo area. This is your larger size. You can see why they call them coffee pots. Wick, they would have fish oil, whale oil originally, but then dogfish oil, and burn. But open flame in a coal mine, not exactly good practice. So ultimately they worked themselves up to safety lamps. And the difference here is the flame is totally contained, so you don't get sparks. And there was a double benefit of this lamp, that if your flame started to turn color, that told you you were in the presence of gas. But the precursor to all that, of course, is the famous canary in a coal mine. And that expression, rather than die out, is very current today in the environmental movement. You're always hearing that expression, canary in a coal mine. And literally, they would carry this poor little bird in, and should he fall off his perch, then it was time to get out. That was their gas sensor. I was given that from the late Ray Knight collection, and I prize that very, very, very highly. Handmade, probably made in China, but a wonderful harbinger of the era of coal mining. That's not an oil can, that's a powder tin. They used explosives underground. So your perfect example of that is in this photograph. Notice his three-piece suit. It's powder tin, his lunch pail, and his open flame coffee pot lamp with the canvas hat. The canvas hat predated the hard hat. Ultimately, by the turn of the last century, they had gotten into battery packs. And you find these at the sites, Thomas Edison primarily, but electric came in, and of course, non-flame from electricity. So that was another major advance. Coal is soft, so you hand drilled it. In order to set the explosive, you had to create holes. And once you created the hole, you had to place powder in the hole, charges, and you would use a tamping bar, this one here, which is iron, but notice that the end, the tamping end, is brass, so it wouldn't create a spark. Spark, fire, that was the nemesis of so many coal miners. So fire was always a scary thing. About 110, 15 years ago, a German named Gregor came up with a device, an oxygen tank system, a respirator, and they called it a rebreather at that time. And this is a very early, and I hate to say it, but a very primitive example of one. And in this saddle here, you would carry a little oxygen tank, good for 1/2 hour. You were then supposed to strap this on your back and go into a flaming, caved-in mine where there's still gas, and try to find the victims and try to bring them out. And you would have half an hour on your tank. Probably you carried I would hope you carried a backup, but you also would carry a second of these loose, but that wasn't for your benefit. That was if you found a miner down there who was injured, you would give him a breathing apparatus to help him get out. And so that was a standard practice. And so these men became known for a long, long time as dragermen, named for the inventor of the system. And Jennifer, I gotta help you. You want to try and fit this on to some degree? Back. And if you can hold it. Here we are. Here's the other piece of belt. All right, you have it?
Yep.
As I say, there would be a very small air oxygen tank there.
And it's very heavy.
And then we get to more modern, of course. But of course, obviously, she had to be able to draw the air from the cylinder, so she would have a face mask. And this is more modern. This is later than that particular unit. I have several types, but this is coming up into slightly more modern times. And you know, people would look at that and they say gas mask, thinking Second World War. But this was a marvelous invention. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I say it's primitive, but in its time, it certainly probably saved lives.